Okay, I wanted to make a video on the subject of conversion to Judaism. I've had the zchus to oversee, to sit on Bezdin, probably, close to 100 times in my life. Been a rabbi for about 10 years. I've sat on Batei Din all over the world. Florida, South America, New Jersey, Queens, upstate New York, Manhattan, different places, New Jersey. I remember Daniel Frisch is a Hasidic line of Piascecner from Yerushalayim, Masik Medavash. I remember he would always talk about Jersey. I don't know, just remember him from Jersey. I remember a friend of mine, he went to Reb Daniel. We used to eat in his house. I don't know what I'm talking about, this is not the subject. We used to eat by Reb Daniel, and in his house, in Mei Sharm, in Batei Ungarn. It's a chronis from Yerushalayim. Wow, thinking this is going back over 15 years ago. And so this bacher, he said, Rebbe, ich will abruche, ich soll lernen zu reden Yiddish. And Daniel, Harav Agon of Daniel, Harav Tzadik, and Mekubal, Bamiti, Rabbi Daniel Frisch, is a chut, Sayyid in Line of Malkali Salome. Rabbi Daniel, he said, I'm read Yiddish Iberol, in America, in England, in Australia, in Jersey. It's just a memory I have. I don't know. I remember this bacher, he also got a big kick out of, well, you even talk about Jersey, I don't know. So anyway, my views on conversion to Judaism have changed over the years, and that's, I think, something I wanted to talk about. I remember, I kind of even have regrets, I would say. There's certain people who I'll talk about, who approached me for conversion. I didn't turn them down. I said, I'll learn with them, whatever, but I kind of regret why I didn't do it myself, really, to be honest. And I know a lot of people be upset at me about that, but and I think, it's a learning experience through my life and through my rabbinical career. What this is all about, and how to approach it, what kind of hashkafa to have about conversion to Judaism, what kind of an outlook to have. And I know a lot of people, their outlooks who have changed over the years, similar to my own. Many of my friends, there's one friend in particular who a lot of people know, who's very strong with this, but a lot of people who I know have very similar views to him, or if not even more radical or more liberal views than he has. And even though he's still demonized, and I feel it's unfairly so, it is what it is. So let's just talk about certain things, and experiences what I've had as far as my life working as a rabbi, and my rabbinical career, and being involved with Gerim, with Geras. A lot of people know my wife is a Gioris, and so it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, this Indian. Another thing, just a hashkafa about Geras. There was a big tzaddik, a lot of people know his Sfarim, Kolumnus Kalman Shapiro, the Piascecner, Hashem Yimkom Damo. He was a big tzaddik, and Piascecner was a small town near Warsaw, and during the war he found himself in the Warsaw Ghetto, and he was murdered by the Nazis, Yimach Shemam B'Zichram. And he wrote different Sfarim throughout his life, and probably the most popular, most famous would be the Chovos HaTalmidim, which has been translated to English as a student's obligation. It's been translated more than once, actually. I think there's a newer translation came out in the past couple of years. I'm not so up with English books as I used to be when I was younger, but when I remember the original English translation was from Aronson, which a lot of people felt was a quote-unquote controversial publishing company. But even putting controversy aside, they didn't print a lot of books, and their books tended to be expensive. I think Feldheim, which tends to be more accepted in the Haredi world, they did a translation in recent years that probably would be. First of all, Aronson is out of business, and I don't think any of their books are still in print. You can still get old copies, obviously, but it's they're expensive. Feldheim, they tend to be a little bit more affordable, especially sometimes they have a smaller version, and I think they might have such a thing called Talmidim. I'm not sure. It's a book written for young children, but really even adults can learn tremendous things from it. And it's often taught. Even I remember I asked a young child in Toldus Aaron in Yerushalayim. I mean, now I'm sure he's married and has children by now. But again, talking 15 years ago in Yerushalayim, and he said. I asked him, "You learn Hasidic Svarim?" He said, "Yes." I said, "So what are you learning in yeshiva?" They said they're learning the Chovos HaTalmidim. So, which is interesting because the Piascecner, was a very different type of hashkafa, I would say, than Toldus Aaron Satmar, that type of approach in certain things, in politics and so forth. Certainly, he had a brother who was very well known that had a bit of a more modern approach, we'll say, and that brother has a son or a grandson now, I'm not sure who's a Rebbe, and I think in Beit Shemesh or something like that, I'm not sure, but in the modern part of Beit Shemesh, and also he tends more to a modern economy. He wears a spadek, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, to me, that just shows the beauty of, a lot of people tend to have negative views of the Hungarian Hasidic Hamish Oilam, but the fact of the matter is, the truth is that they're much more open-minded than, I would say, most other Haredim, except in a few areas, and even in those areas, their outlook still tends to be more open-minded. I know other people disagree with me on that, but this is my experience, and I know other people who feel the same way that I do, as far as this is concerned. But and I don't just say this because it happens that my ancestry is a quarter from a Hungarian, Jewish background. I really strongly identify with that ideology and with that, and even not mostly because it's not a blind cultish approach, and most people say, "Oh, this is a cult," and I'm really getting off subject, but you'll hear people say, the Hungarians are cultish because they oppose Zionism, and that reminds me of things like when you hear the Christians, they'll say, well, Mormonism is a cult because they don't believe in the Trinity, or Jehovah's Witness is a cult because they don't believe in the Trinity either. They also don't believe in the Trinity. Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's just and not because they're involved, and not because they have nothing about their psychology and things like that. It's more or less just their their theology, and here it's not even about theology; it's more about politics. And if anything, at least I know it's going to offend people for me to say this, but I mean, really, don't you see how it's more cultish to like be obsessed with a piece of land and a government and things like that, and turn that into like a religious devotion, and even when it's probably unhealthy to do so, and rather than and not question it. You know, there was a great article on the Natrina website about Jewish unity and how Zionists tend to make Jewish unity about, well, you got to agree with us. You know, it's my way or the highway, and you know, I don't see that as much, to be honest, in the anti-Zionist world. Although one friend of mine, over Rosh Hashanah, we were talking, you know, by Kiddush, and the subject came up from a Hamish person from Eretz Yisrael, a Hamish Hasidic Yid from a strong Rabbanish background, Ben Acher Ben from Piascecner, one of our neighbors, but a real echte, ehrliche Hasidic man. And he started talking about Meir Kahana, Hashem Yimkam Damai. And Rabbi Kahana said, I don't care about all these Rebbes, but he said, but the Satmar Rav is a real Talmud Chacham, and we have to learn what he said. Even if we disagree with him, we have to learn. And that's, I think that's an important thing. You know, it's the same thing like they say, J.B. Soloveitchik, he said, same thing. Someone approached him. They said they want to boycott Satmar, and Rav Soloveitchik, Zatzal, he said, Chas v'sholom, how can we say such a thing? He says, ever since Satmarov came to America, everyone got frumer, even me. So he said, he's quoted as saying, I don't know, a lot of the things that they say in his name tend to be apocryphal, so it's not so clear. But it's noteworthy, even if it's apocryphal, I feel. What did someone said such a good joke about something being apocryphal, something about Hanukkah. There's good anecdotes about Hanukkah, but they're apocryphal. I don't remember. I'm trying to think. Whatever. It's neither here nor there. So, anyway, we want to talk about, I was talking about the Piascecner. Hashem Yimkam Damai. So the Piascecner, he's also famous. He wrote the Sefer Eish Kodesh, which he wrote during the Holocaust. It was on the Sedra, weekly Sedra. Not every Sedra he covers, but it's, you know, talking from out of the depths of hell, giving Torah a very special chibur for sure. And but he also wrote other books before the war. I mean, obviously the Chovos Talmidim he wrote before the war. He wrote Hachsharas Avrechim, which was freeing the light, and he wrote Avoy Hasharim, which talks about Inyanim of Nevuah and Kabbalah, which I think is probably one of his most important Sfarim, Avoy Hasharim. But he also wrote a private diary that he called Tzavas Ruz, or at least that's how it's been published. I think that's what it's called, I'm not sure. So anyway, in this Tzavas Ruz, he reached his 40th birthday, And this was just a private thing that it wasn't meant to be published, but it's such a deep and beautiful statement. And I'm not saying this because of who he is as much as the greatness of the statement, which is in general my approach. Yesterday someone contacted me about something, and I said I learned such and such from Rabbi Weinberger. And I don't say it because of who Rabbi Weinberger is as much as it's a Dvar Chochma, what he said and what his approach was on this particular Indian, whatever it was. Someone asked me for advice, and then they said, would I talk to someone else who they were asking the advice about? And they said, I should call them. And I said, no, that's not how I do things. I said, I learned from Rabbi Weinberger, they have to call me. If they don't want to talk to me, there's nothing for me to talk about. And whether or not the advice that Rabbi Weinberger gives is good or not, that's not what to talk about. I know some people are not so happy with him. But that approach, they have to come to me, and not I go to them. I remember he told the story. There was someone, they said, "Oh, can you talk to my son?" And they said, "No," and I'll give you his numbers. And he said, "No, he has to call me." And then he's going to call you back, whatever. That's how, usually you leave a message and he calls you back, but it is what it is. But it's a sound, good, strong, eitzah that he has to say such a thing that they should call you, not you call them. And I think that's a wise, meaning as far as you're going to give someone mussar, or you're going to give someone, advice or something. If they're not asking for it, why are you giving it? Well, because someone else is asking you to give it, but they're not going to listen. Over or not? What are you going to do? So anyway, this Piascecner on his 40th birthday. Well, now you're going so fast. I'm not even. It was his 40th birthday, and he wrote in his private journal, his private diary. He said, at this point in my life, I've decided I want to convert to Judaism. Now here's a man, his whole life is not only is Jewish, but his father was a Rebbe, he was a Rebbe, he had many Hasidim. And at his 40th birthday, he just said, I decided I want to convert to Judaism. Well, what does it mean? You're already Jewish. So, again, we'll go back to Rabbi Weinberger. He tells a story that there was a boy in Ezra Academy who found out that his mother wasn't really Jewish. But he was frum and everything, and he wanted to be Jewish. And they said, all right, tomorrow we'll bring you to the Beis Din, we'll take you to mikveh, and you'll be Jewish. So the night before, he comes to Rabbi Weinberger's house, and he said, hey, I said, I need to sleep in your house tonight because I'm worried. What am I going to do this one night that I'm not Jewish? So, it's a strong statement. So the thing is, the question is, if you found out that if you're Jewish, and let's say you're frum, and you found out tomorrow you're not really Jewish, would you become a ger? That's the type of question, meaning, and so privately, personally, Piascecner Rebbe, at his 40th birthday, he said, you know what, at this point in my life, if I found out I wasn't really Jewish, which of course isn't going to happen, he's Ben Acher Ben from Kashnas and Magid, although I guess Ben Acher Ben doesn't matter, but I'm sure he's Bas Acher Bas from big Noshim Tzidkanios, Pinchas Koritzer, I think. I'm not sure. From Pinchas Koritzer, right? Ben Acher Ben from Pinchas Koritzer, right? Because Shapiro, Pinchas Koritzer was Shapiro, and so this. So he said if he would have, basically what he's saying is if he would have found out he wasn't really Jewish, he would decide to convert. And I think that's a question every Jew should ask themselves at some point in their life. You know, I know I'm a Jew by birth, if you are a Jew by birth, but am I a Jew by choice? Meaning, would I choose this if I wasn't stuck with it? And I don't know, a friend of mine who I mentioned earlier, I didn't mention by name, he says he's asked a lot of people and they always say yes, except, and then we found one person who's very frum. He's not very religious, but he's very frum. He's also very religious, you know, but a Heverman, whatever. He said no, he wouldn't. He absolutely would not. He would just drop the whole thing. He's not that interested in it, but he knows it's true, and so he's stuck with it. A very good friend of mine said that, but But this fellow said that most people, they said, but I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true. I don't think the average Jew in Brooklyn or Muncie or Long Island or whatever who's from would necessarily say yes. I mean, they would just say, well, I don't know any other life, or, you know, what would I do if I wasn't Jewish? How would I live? How would I exist? You know, I mean, I make my living as a mashgiach, so I kind of have to find a different job, you know, or something like that, you know. I would, you know, I write mezuzahs for a living, you know. I don't know if, I don't know how good I would, how would I keep having this job if I wasn't from, you know, if I wasn't Jewish. But to be honest, it's a question people really have to ask themselves, and I think the fact that the Piascecner wrote this on his 40th birthday shows that it's something we can grow in life, to attain, to strive toward, that maybe we can be honest with ourselves, and maybe at this point in our life, maybe we wouldn't, but we should want to, and we should strive to that, and try to grow spiritually to find this, that we can truly say, Ashreinu ma tov chelkeinu ma noim goraleinu. Like Reb Nachman Breslover says, that we could just have simcha from saying Shelo Yasani Goy. Just by the very virtue of the fact that we're Jewish should bring us joy, should bring us simcha. That's what Reb Nachman Breslover writes in Likutei Moharan. I mean, whatever, he didn't write it, he taught it, and Reb Nosson wrote it, but whatever. So let's get back to what we're saying. Well, this has already been 24 minutes, so I don't think I'm going to get into what I really wanted to talk about. I think this video is long enough. But I think we should all ask ourselves, and even if you're not from, are you really happy being Jewish? Is this something, meaning is this something you would choose if you had the opportunity? You know, or do you see it as a burden? You know, the Chazon Ish wrote so beautifully, you know, he wrote a Musar Sefer about how you shouldn't learn Musar. It was it called? Emes Vamuna? Something Amuna. I don't remember. And it was basically the Musar Sefer saying you shouldn't learn Musar, but alright. Hasidus also, I don't think he was saying we should learn, learn halacha. That was the Chazon Ish, but he was a tzaddik Yesod Olam, and I remember a dear friend of mine, Official Farkash, so his own sign, big tzaddik, big Bal Chesed, and Erlich Yid that lives in Monroe, and Official, he says he remembers, he was born in Europe, but he moved to Eretz Yisrael when he was a small child, and he said. He talked about how the Israeli government persecuted him and his family. His wife had the same problems. And eventually came to America, Official. And he says he remembers when he was a little kid in Bnei Brak, and he remembers seeing the Chazon Ish. And the smile on his face and the sparkle in his eye when he talks about what a schus it was to see the Chazon Ish, and a schus I have to look at the eyes and looked at the Chazon Ish is also a big choshev thing. We see like the someone has the glasses from the Chazon Ish, and there's this cute picture of Cheskel Road of the Karlsberger Road, the big tzaddik who had the schus of meeting a few times and seeing and davening with, and it's this beautiful picture. It's just so cute and delicious. Cheskel wrote, wearing the glasses of the Chazon Ish, and the smile he has wearing them, and So anyway, the Chazon Ish, such a big tzaddik, the Chazon Ish, we can't imagine who the Chazon Ish was. So the Chazon Ish, he said we should not look at the 613 mitzvos. I'm sure he's not the first one to say it, but I've heard it quoted in his name, as the 613 mitzvahs as 613 obstacles, but rather as 613 opportunities. And I think if we look at life that way, then we can say Ashreinu Matayv Chalkeinu Manoim Goraleinu. When we're fasting on Yom Kippur, Ashreinu Matayv Chalkeinu Manoim Goraleinu. When we're sitting on the floor on Tisha B'Av, Ashreinu Matayv Chalkeinu Manoim Goraleinu. And surely when we're dancing when we're eating matzah on Pesach and not eating chametz, and we're cleaning up the chametz for Pesach, Ashreinu Matayv Chalkeinu Manoim Goraleinu. And for sure when we're dancing on Simchas Torah, Ashreinu Matayv Chalkeinu Manoim Goraleinu. How happy we are, how good is our portion, how lucky we are to have this lot in life, to be B'nai Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And we should really celebrate this. Not to put down others who don't have it necessarily, although we should be more welcoming, and that's something else I want to talk about. And really I wanted to talk about the actual halachas of Geirus, of conversion to Judaism, which people make to be so difficult. One thing I could say about Hilchos Geirus, it's one of the few sugyas that is almost verbatim from the Gemara, from the Talmud, Yevamos Mem Zayin, to the Rambam, Hilchos Rebbe, to Shulchan Aruch, Yeridea. Meaning, I remember my yeshiva, Yeshiva Shlema, he said some of these modern rabbis, they never learned, they're doing Geirus and they never learned halachas. They probably don't even know it's in Yeridea. They probably think it's in Even Ezer. That's a rabbinical joke. It'll probably go over most people's heads. Although it's in Hasidic Rebbe, so it's interesting why it's in Hasidic Rebbe and it's not in Ibn Ezer. That could be a whole discussion. But it's in Yoredeya, which I think is a strong statement. Also, the fact that it is in Yoredeya. But we'll set that aside for now. We're already up to the half-hour mark, so I made way too long of a video. I should really try to keep my videos down to like 8 or 9 minutes. That's what Jimmy does on Bright Insight, and I'm really I think he's doing some good work there. I really enjoy his videos. Might not agree with everything he says, although I haven't found too much to disagree with this young man, and he's quite interesting. And it's interesting to talk like that, and wish him a lot of success. All right, well, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Let's what kind of animal is that? It's a huge groundhog, or is that a mediocre-sized raccoon? Looks more like, well, it would still be pretty fat for a raccoon. All right. Oh, just about to at work. Let's see. We're in Orangeburg. Are there any more signs on the posts? Someone just left a table out here to be thrown out. Again, there's all these political signs. Let's see, what else? What other violations can we find if they choose to change the code? Something, an exit sign here. I'm not sure what that is. Alright, well, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. And look forward to talking more. Alright, thank you. God bless.